Welcome to Tales, Tunes, and Tomfoolery starring Jerry Springer, along with Gene Galvin and me. I'm Megan Hills. We're recorded live in front of a brilliant studio audience at the Folk School Coffee Parlor in Ludlow, Kentucky.
My daddy came home.
And now, ladies and gentlemen, Jerry Springer.
Oh, please. Thank you. Thanks. Although we opened the show with a lie, because actually today we're not at the Folk School Coffee Parlor. Gene,
We're at the Whispering Beard Folk Festival, and by the way, we're performing this episode inside what is called the Red Barn, a cool little barn. And we'll talk about this more in a minute.
It's not cool. It is
well, it's actually
sweltering hot.
And so if you hear some sounds in the background, that may be a fan. Across the wall is a set of restrooms, so you might hear some hand dryers. Yep. And that's good because we want people, please, folks, if you go to the bathroom, wash your hands and feel free to use a hand dryer.
Yeah.
This Whispering Beard Folk Festival is a fantastic event, is it not?
We got here.
Your impressions, Jerry?
Well, we got here last night, and it's in a town called Friendship, Indiana. And I confess, even though for 35 years we lived in Cincinnati, I'd never been to Friendship, Indiana. And Friendship, Indiana, it's a rural area, and it has 61 residents. Hear me out, 61 residents. And last night, I announced my candidacy for mayor of Friendship. I mean, 61 people, I could buy this election.
And by the way, when Jerry announced his candidacy as mayor of Friendship, boy, wait till the people over in Friendship hear about this.
Yeah,
that somebody's
thrilled.
running against you. We said to Jerry, it was in my business plan. So
business plan? There's no business plan.
Well, look, when I did the business plan.
Business plan? We don't make any money.
Well.
In fact, I spend all of my money for this.
Well,
Where's
actually,
your business plan?
Well, I hadn't thought that
It
totally
was a good
through.
one. It's just a plan.
Jerry comes here and I give him one chore. And by the way, he introduced the Tillers last night. Did you guys?
They were
hear
great.
the Tillers?
They are awesome.
Yeah, they were fantastic.
Unbelievable. And as Jerry said, this is Tiller country. There were great groups, including the headline act that came in right behind them. But the Tillers are amazing, and this is sort of their country. The one thing and Jerry is fantastic as an entertainer. He is really good, as we all know, and has made a great living at it. Jerry, go up on stage and say one thing. Say jerryspringer.com. It's so simple. jerryspringer.com, and that's the location of our podcast. He goes up, does a killer 5 minutes, comes off the stage, all full of himself. Like, how was that? And I'm like, yeah, that was great. Well, it was really good one. I said, Jerry, you spent $50,000 in jet fuel to come here to say jerryspringer.com. You didn't say it. He
Fail.
never said it.
Total fail.
I got caught up in the mayoralty.
Yeah.
I just am concerned about the lives of the people in Friendship, Indiana.
Oh my God.
I thought that was just more important.
We apologize,
But the
Friendship.
music here, the music at this festival is unbelievable. It is wonderful. It is great. It is roots music. Back when Gene and I were younger, it was folk music. But it's a little more sophisticated today.
Yeah.
The concept is the same. There are more elements in it than the folk music we remember in the 50s and 60s. But the one thing that I found is the same. There's a reason we initially call this folk music, because this is the music of people. It wasn't just a couple of people sitting in Hollywood or even in Nashville or in New York and producing a song, a record, and that was it. No, this music literally came from people talking about their lives. And whether it was the labor movement, whether it was the civil rights movement, whether it was years ago, people still as slaves working the fields, the music came from people's lives. And that's how it became popular. And whenever there are tough times in the world, the music starts to reflect that time. So the music, for example, of our generation of the 60s was almost entirely political. Whether it was Bob Dylan, Peter, Paul, and Mary, whatever it was the music reflecting the anti-war movement, the civil rights movement, When things really started falling apart in the late 60s, you had the eve of destruction. Sure. I mean, the music that came out reflected the politics. Now, today, it's the same thing, but in different areas. For example, rap music. Rap music is basically urban folk music. The guys and the women that are writing this stuff are writing about their lives, their experiences. That's the popularity of it. And that's why that music will never die. And it's great for us. And you were talking how we're standing around it. We looked at the crowd here last night. The age disparity was phenomenal. Yeah. Normally, when you go to the concert, everyone is within 5 years of the same age, depending on who the act is, except if you're bringing your kid to Taylor Swift. But other than that, but last night, there were people our age, which amazingly, some were still breathing, and there were young,
families.
Families.
Yep.
So it's really cool to listen to the music here.
To emphasize a point that you're making, Jerry, last night, and we joke about this, this, as you guys know, because in our audience are the people who are the patrons of the festival, it goes all night. And it's really good in the daytime. It's really, really good at night for the acts that come on 8, 9, 10, 11 o'clock. It's rocking in this room, was it not? I'm sure many of you were here at midnight. And then
you
there
were here
are
at midnight?
Yeah, well, that's the point. Then there were jams happening in the campsites all over the place. So Megan and I, because we're like Woody Guthrie. We're among the people. We feel the people. And Jerry had his head on a satin pillow back in a 5-star hotel in Lawrenceburg, right?
Yeah.
Well, I confess I had to leave here at about 9:30 because if I didn't get back in time, I wouldn't get turned down service.
See what I'm saying?
So I had to get back to the hotel.
Unbelievable.
But you slept on the ground.
Yeah,
did.
we camped out along with everybody
Is that
else.
part
here.
of your business plan?
That's part of my business plan. All right, I admit it.
Really need to relook at this business plan, Gene.
Hey,
Gotta tell you.
I saw Gene's tent. Tent? I've seen prophylactics that are bigger. No, I'm telling you, this tent.
It's tiny. It's a backpacker.
That's a good line, by the way.
No, it's the truth.
Well, it's a solo backpacking tent, and it's small because therefore lighter. Anybody here a backpacker? You don't want big tents. You want light, mobile tents. Hey, let me emphasize a point Jerry made. So you guys know about Zippy's Edge, which is one of the jams that happens out in the campgrounds. So last night at Zippy's Edge at probably 1:30 in the morning, there was a young man, I'm guessing was about 20.
19,
Megan,
20
I saw
years
you
old.
there.
Yep.
This guy's playing a clawhammer banjo, doing a sea chanty. Because we're old enough to know that was a genre of folk music back before we were kids, and I was hearing and learning sea chanties when I was in college. This kid was singing Sail Away, Ladies, Sail Away. It's a song some of the musician types in the audience know. So this music is now still passing on to young players. I look at this kid and I think, why did he choose this genre of roots music instead of pop music or rap or others? And I'm always curious about that. I suspect the reason is, Jerry and Megan, that roots music speaks to the human condition. So it's universal. It's timeless. It's about war or feelings about, it's all about passion and emotions. It might be about murder. The song Tom Dooley, an old-timey folk song popularized in the 1960s by a group called the Kingston Trio, or Long Black Veil, popularized by Joan Baez, or even the Dave Matthews Band and others. Songs about murder, songs about love, songs about war or protesting war or civil rights issues, or songs rooted in old Negro spirituals. This music, is it not true? I suspect that's why we're all here, has the rhythms and the sounds and the instrumentation and the themes that are really cool.
And something you said, and I think it's important, it's not all negative. In fact, what has struck me is oftentimes hearing Jerry and Gene talk about this music, you start to think about it's all anti-war, it's all this. What struck me was the positivity of everything last evening. I mean, we were in this space last night chanting love, love. It was a very, very warm, inviting, what an amazing community that's been built here. So it's
that was cool, and also seeing the people in the audience just as every bit as talented as the people on stage performing, and then afterwards everyone coming out and joining together. It's really been amazing so far.
There were a bunch of people chanting "Love, love" back at the hotel.
Different reasons.
Boy.
Jerry, let me ask you a
And
question.
it's $19 for those films?
No. Jerry, let me
That's an
ask you a
outrage.
question.
Yes.
Serious question about roots music in terms of your life. So you were in college in the early to mid 60s, correct?
Yes.
And I know this because we've talked about it, and I know that and you guys may not know this, when Jerry came to Cincinnati in the late 60s-ish, 1970-ish, he came to do law. He eventually ran a political movement lowering the voting age. He eventually ran for Congress, came very close in a tremendously uphill race, then became a city council member and a mayor. So he came to Cincinnati to do some work, some social movement work. At the same time, he was part of a duo that sang folk music in a place called Mahogany Hall, correct?
Right.
And tell us what got you into singing, performing. You started with what a lot of people did back in the day with a harmony guitar, correct? An
Yep.
affordable guitar, I think, sold at Sears Roebuck, as I recall. But
Yeah, the music in the I learned personally. I learned how to play the guitar because my parents were on this movement along with my sister to Americanize me. Because we came over from I came over from England, and they were concerned that I didn't know anything about American customs, so they were on the Americanization of Gerald was my childhood. I would join the Boy Scouts. They would have me join the Little League. I would learn to play the guitar. I mean, I would join a fraternity. I mean, it was the classic what you got to do in the
All-American,
1950s.
yeah.
And so I learned how to play the first. It's funny you mentioned Tom Dooley. That's the song that I learned to play the guitar on, the very first song. So in the beginning, and then of course because of our background, we were very political as a family. So I got very interested in the civil rights movement. So those were the songs that I initially learned. I got to be honest. By the time I hit college, and when I came to Cincinnati and played in Mahogany Hall in Mount Adams, that was the way you met girls. And it became a social thing. If you weren't a good looking or very strong or anything else, you better learn to play the guitar, and then you didn't have to be good looking. Which brings us to our first act.
yes.
No.
No.
That is so cruel.
No, hold on.
No,
hold
you're
on.
Cruel but true.
Yeah.
Well, but in fact, before we go to Tom,
That was awful.
let me mention something. Jerry mentioned the song Tom Dooley, and I want to just do one other thing about this genre of roots music and show its reach. So a couple summers ago, and Jerry, we talked about this, and Jerry, I think, is going to do it next summer, but I hiked on this trail in Spain that goes across Spain called the Camino de Santiago. And Jerry is committed to doing it, as I say, next summer, carrying his stuff on his back and doing this hike.
It's going to be very good for you.
That is totally
So-
There's no way.
We'll get you a little backpack.
Right.
What? I have to carry my own bags?
Yes, carry your stuff. Carry your stuff.
You talk to my people.
He is your people.
I am your people. What are you talking
Yeah,
about?
that's right. I keep forgetting. He's my.
That's it. That's all you got.
Yeah.
So I was on this hike, the Camino Trail, and I did maybe 250 miles, the traditional routes, about 500 miles along from the edge of Spain, or pardon me, France, Saint-Jean-Pied-de-Port, over the Pyrenees Mountains, west to this little town called Santiago de Compostela. Some of you may have heard of this hike. It's an amazing hike. What's cool about it has to do with Tom Dooley. What's cool about it is that there are people from all over the world doing it. It's like the Whispering Beard Folk Festival. The age disparity is extreme. There are young people as young as college kids, people as old as I am at the other end, and everything in between. And an international group of people now, recent years, by the millions, staying at albergues, little hostels where you pay $5-10 American dollars, you get a bunk bed. Here's something. I'm trying to picture Jerry going into a hostel where they say, your space is this bunk bed. Put all your stuff there, change there. There's get this, a communal shower. That would be great. And then, anyway, so on this hike.
Now you're sounding like a show. My
Yeah.
show. This is great.
I go into this little mountain village,
I'll do that.
and a guy associated with one of these hostels, he had hiked the Camino another year. He sits down, it's a Spaniard, speaks no English, takes out a Gibson 5-string banjo and plays Tom Dooley. Spanish guy, no English.
Yeah.
And I say in my half-ass Spanish, that's Tom Dooley. He says to me in Spanish, do you know it? Yeah, I know it. And he played it, and I'm singing Tom Dooley. He then marches through a bunch of American folk songs that were taught to him by his teacher in this little mountain village, guy from England who had migrated to this little mountain village. On the Camino Trail, every mile I hiked, I constantly heard music. And people were constantly carrying, not everybody, but many, instruments strapped onto the back of their backpacks. I heard music everywhere I stopped, and it was in every language of the world. But it was always folk music. It was the same stories. Tell you one last thing. On a mountain village in Spain one night in a stealth campsite, it was illegal to do this in Spain, there were representatives camping out from Lithuania, from Ireland, from America, from England, from Spain, and everybody did that night music from their own countries that were all folk songs. So this music is not just America. There's something archetypal about the stories and the rhythms of folk music. Do you agree with that? I mean, that's what's great about these sounds. So now, how about if we bring on Tom Vandenavond? Have I said that close, Tom?
Yeah, you have said it close.
Thank you. Yeah, close.
He did not say correctly. He said
Yeah, not
close.
correctly, but very close.
But close. Close to correctly.
It's Vandenavond.
Vandenavond. Thank you.
So you lied. He wasn't close.
I wasn't even close. I apologize for that,
Yeah,
Tom.
why didn't you just
Hey,
call
Tom,
him-
tell us, please, a little bit about yourself, where you're from, and then we're going to be anxious to hear you do a song or two.
Oh, great. Well, I grew up in Green Bay, Wisconsin. That's a little drinking town with a football problem up north there. And about age 18, I started traveling around. And then years later, the first time in my life I wasn't in school or had a job, I sat down and learned how to play the guitar, and then it's taken me to Friendship, Indiana,
Cool.
in a nutshell.
And if you're willing, maybe get you to do a couple, but let's start with
Sure.
one and tell us a little bit about the song, if you would, and then we'd love to hear it.
Okay, this one's going to be called Busted Knuckles, and it's kind of a song about a traveler, a musician who's just kind of worn out from being on the road all those years. So,
Great.
All right. Thank you, Tom.
yeah.
Let's hear it.
I was wondering whatever happened to all my highway companions when I seen one up at Rick's Tavern yesterday. For all years and years we wandered all them cities, fields, and canyons. He says this is all that life has left me with today. Some busted knuckles, a stack of bills, and a never-ending aching just to roam. My pa's belt buckle, he left me in the will, knocking my engine in a broken home. So I asked him whatever happened to old Donnie, Rex, and Paul. They made a decent living in that hillbilly band. He says, "Oh, Rex, he married a widow, a pickled liver, killed Paul. And poor Donnie's doing a dime spot in the can with some busted knuckles, some iron bars, and a never-ending aching just to roam. His pa's belt buckle, his old guild guitar, knocking I said, hey man, what about all us traveling kind? All the whiskey, all the girls, all the fun. Think about all them good times we all had. He says, oh heck, I don't even remember most of it. Barely remember some. But I got a few steady reminders of all that was bad. I got my busted knuckles, I got my busted heart, and a never-ending aching just to roam. That's my paw's belt buckle, now it's rusted apart. Got a knock in my engine, I got a broken home. All I got is a knock in my engine, that old broken home.
Thank you.
That was wonderful.
Thanks,
Wonderful.
Jared.
This was great.
Yeah, I think you slept in yesterday. I played the afternoon slot, so you didn't get there in time.
Yeah.
Well, with those soft pillows, I would have slept in too, you know.
Well, they also put chocolates on your pillow, so.
Lucky.
Hey, Tom, where can people hear your music? Where can they? I mean,
Yeah.
obviously you performed yesterday. And,
Right, I have a website that's tomvandenavond.com.
And spell it. So VAN.
Vandenavond.
Okay. And tell us typically where are you performing? Are you around the country? Are you Midwest heavy?
Well, the older I'm getting, the less around the country I'm getting.
Interesting.
I kind of settled out in California these last 5 or 6 years.
Really?
In a little town called Oakdale. My friend Willie T, he's going to be on,
Right.
I think, later. He said, hey, buddy, I got an Airstream open for you. I'm like, oh, I'll be there in a week.
Nice.
So I moved to California from
Oh,
Airstream.
Airstream. So you have a plane?
No.
a trailer, Jerry, a trailer.
A trailer.
Those things can't take off. Why would,
Not
you
very
have
fast.
a trailer?
Hey, Tom,
Okay, yeah.
how would you rate Whispering Beer with other places to play? It looks to me, I'm not a performer as you are, but
Top
like,
100, are you saying, Gene?
Yeah.
Like rank it?
Yeah.
Right here, right now. No
Can
pressure.
we do halvesies?
Yeah, right.
2.5.
Yeah.
That's like high. you know?
Hi. Yeah, I mean, it
Yeah.
looks like a real mellow place, a lot of respect. It just looks like a really cool environment.
It's gorgeous, and it's so honest. With the joking aside, it is so authentic.
Yeah.
I mean, that's it. There's nothing commercial about this place. It's just authentic. It's
And it's hard-
real people, joking aside, it's real people just coming to enjoy music, and there's a commonality of spirit. It is exactly what Donald Trump isn't.
Yeah.
I think that hair's pretty authentic, isn't it?
Actually, in fairness to
think,
Donald Trump,
unfortunately,
it
he is
It
authentic.
is his hair. Yeah, well, I think he believes what he says.
That's the frightening part.
Yeah, more on Donald Trump. Actually, next Tuesday as we record, it'll be in another episode, but we're going to get into that pretty heavily.
We are. I'll just give you a headline now, because I just can't get it. I mean, that's what people are talking about. We were together last weekend at our friend's house up in Michigan, and honestly, all we did was talk about Donald Trump.
And that's what he wants. He's
Yeah.
winning if you do that,
Yeah.
Jerry. You need to stop it.
There is no famous last words. And this isn't personal. I don't have anything personally against him. But there's no way he can be president of the United States. It just isn't going to happen. So let's not panic, okay? He's not going to be president. And the reason, by the way, he's not going to be president is because I don't care what you see in the polls. He does well with the Poles. He doesn't do so well with the Czechoslovakians.
I hate
but
you. This is
No.
it's all the time. This is all the
I
time.
know. And of course, the joke makes no sense because there are no Czechoslovakians. It's Czech Republic. But how can you make fun of Czech Republicans? You can make fun of Republicans, but you can't make fun of Czech Republicans. What am I talking about?
Stop.
So anyway, but he is doing well, in the polls. But the point is, he's no one's second choice. So you have these 16, 17 candidates, right? And during the primaries, a whole bunch of them are obviously going to lose. So the people that are supporting those candidates will have to choose someone else. But if you look at the polls, no one has Trump as their second choice. In other words, whoever is for Trump is already for Trump. That's it. So he's not going to get the nomination. What is interesting, I think, is the reason the Republican Party, and look, I'm biased, I get it, and you should know that, so anything I say comes from my liberal bias. But the reason the Republican Party is having trouble with Trump, if Trump were a Democrat, he would be thrown out of the party immediately. I mean, everyone would say, you don't believe in what we believe in, you're horrible on women's issues, you're horrible on Planned Parenthood, you're horrible on immigration, we don't want a nativist this president, we don't want this xenophobia. This is absolutely everything the Democratic Party doesn't stand for. The reason the Republicans are having trouble with him, though, is because he really says what the base of the Republican Party actually believes. They are embarrassed because they don't want to say it like that. It's politically incorrect how he's saying it. But on the issues, he is what the Republican Party believes. You know, if you had a check on all the issues, yes or no, he's going to come out where the Republicans are. The example I give is this. Mom and Dad are talking in the kitchen. And they just had a dinner, you know, with a bunch of people over, and the people left, and Mom and Dad are talking, and Mom says, you know, Sally really put on a lot of weight. And they don't realize that in the next room, one of their young kids heard that. The next week, Sally comes over to the house, and the kid says, Mommy says you put on a lot of weight. Well, the parents are, you know, oh my God, I can't believe the kid said it. The reason it's embarrassing is because it's the truth. They really did say it, but they would never say it like the kid says it. That's how Republicans are feeling about Trump. They can't really attack him because the base believes in the issues that Trump is talking about. They just want to say it more politely. And that is what we're looking at. And that ought to give everyone pause. Those people who are Republicans, think about it. You're embarrassed, perhaps, by the way Trump is saying things. But isn't it true you kind of believe what he's saying? And if you really believe what he's saying, it doesn't look so good, does it? Yep. You know, the symbol of America is the Statue of Liberty, not a damn wall. Yep. You know, if you loved Reagan, and maybe they got to remember what Reagan said: tear down this wall. Yep. You don't want Donald Trump as president. Nope. You really don't.
Well.
Okay,
well,
back
it
to
was longer
music.
than a headline, but he made a point.
He came from the Gene Galvin School of Succinctity.
That's
Succinctness.
Hey, Tom, are you willing?
Yes.
No.
After being mayor of Friendship, Indiana, I'm running for president.
On to the White House.
And I'll tell you what. We'll talk about that another day. Why I'm running for president.
Yeah, we'll get into that. We'll get into that shortly. But again,
sure.
Let's go back to Tom Vandenavond. And Tom, we would love it.
Now I'm the Avon lady? What?
Yeah. Yeah. The only part of his names you get right is Tom. So just say, here's Tom.
Yeah, Tommy V. That's what they've been calling me.
Tommy
it's
V.
easier for everybody, especially at night.
Hey, Tommy, would you do one more, please?
Yeah, sure.
All right.
This is one I just wrote about Donald Trump.
Oh, that would be fantastic. That'd be perfect.
Well played.
It's anti-Trump, don't worry.
Right.
No, this is one off my newest record called End Times is the name of the record, and it's called Chef's House. I based this song off a short story that I read by a fella named Raymond Carver up in Oregon. It's called Chef's House. I moved up to Chef's house. Guess it was early this past spring. I called Lydia up, said we should start over. Come on out and stay. You can even see the ocean from the window in the living room. She said, all right, one last try. I'll start packing today. Now we're trying to quit this drinking. Really trying to lead normal people's lives. But
Run into town one morning to go get a sprinkler for the garden. Walked back up to Chef's house with a straw hat and some daisies in my hand. Me and Lydia, we just lay back on the grass and watched the clouds move on toward the valley. I took her in my arms and asked her if she was my girl again. Now we're trying to quit this drinking, really trying to lead normal people's lives. But we're not normal people, who the hell are we fooling? We ain't like them other husbands and wives. Well, that fall, Chef drove up one morning. He said he'd sold his house. He was sorry, but we'd have to go. We watched him walk away across his own front lawn. Well, I could use a drink, I said. Sitting right there in Chef's living room. And Lydia just closed the drapes and the ocean was gone. Yeah, we're trying to quit this drinking, really trying to lead normal people's lives.
Tommy B. Thank you very much, Tommy.
Really good.
Thank you, Jerry.
I'd love to have you back.
Yeah.
We're going to work it out that when around here that you come back.
You bet.
and
I'd
be
love
on the
to be
show.
back.
That is. And say once more where we can hear you.
TomVandenavond.com. VANDENAVOND. And yeah, you can hear me this weekend.
There you go.
I played yesterday officially, but
Yeah,
I'll be playing a little bit more, I'm sure.
Okay, but I go to sleep at 9:30, so.
So do I.
Yeah. Okay.
Hey, Tom, is there any chance that you could take us out on a song that we do at the end of all of our podcasts, which is Irene Goodnight? Do you know
Oh,
about
Lead
it?
Belly?
Yep.
Yeah, I don't know that one anymore.
Well, I tell you what, Jerry's going to sing it. Okay. he
No,
take-
I can just
No,
do one
do you know
chorus.
any of it? Do you know any of the verses?
key?
Try D, David.
You got it, Jerry.
Irene, good night. Irene, good night.
You've been listening to Tales, Tunes, and Tomfoolery, recorded live at the Folk School Coffee Parlor in Ludlow, Kentucky. Thanks to Patrick Kennedy for writing our opening song, and to you for listening. Check out our website at jerryspringer.com.
Sometimes I live in town. Sometimes I take a great notion to jump in the river and drown. Irene, good night. Irene, good night. Good night, Irene. Good night, Irene. I'll see you in my dream. Y'all come back now.
Thank you.